Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Joe again with the Neutral Zone Report, back for our second episode on the AFC North predictions. First off, I just want to thank everybody who subscribed and liked the first video and the comments. That was a pretty good response for the first one, so I appreciate that. I want to let everyone know that it's my goal to make these videos more rich in content and the overall production of the videos to get better each time I make them. So bear with me through the learning curves, and hopefully within a month or two, these things will be running like like clockwork. So with that being said, I kind of want to talk football. So let's jump right in. So like I said a minute ago, we're on the AFC North today, and all four teams in the AFC North definitely have something to prove this year. I would definitely be lying if I said this was an easy one to judge, because these teams have such kind of a close condensed similarity to each other in one way or another. So it was kind of a struggle to figure out exactly where they would place at the end of the year. But with all that being said, the AFC North winner and my first team to go over is going to be the Cleveland Browns. So the Cleveland Browns have definitely bought a ticket to the 180 train over the last couple of years, just to totally turn around what they're able to do on the field. So in this upcoming year, I have them as the 2019 AFC North Division champs. I have them going 10-6 with a plus-minus of 1. Again, that's the one game differential either way, so I can see them winning, I guess, as many as 11 and down to 9. This is a already heavy promoted record, so I have them more a 10 cap win team, so maybe more towards like a 9-7 team, but I'm giving them the edge there at 10-6. So last year they were AFC offensive ranked 7th. This year I believe they're going to hop up 3 spots to 4th, and they're also going to hop up 3 spots in a positive way on the defensive side of the ball. So going back to the offense, the reason why I have them hopped up 3 spots to 4th overall in the AFC probably is because of their guy behind center, Baker Mayfield. So Baker attended 14 games last year, and he threw for 3,725 yards for 27 touchdowns and 14 picks, which gives you a QBR rating approximately 56. I think it comes out to 55.7. He did have 4 game-winning drives in that stretch as well, but things are just going to be that much better. The reason why things are going to be that much better is probably because of his elite core wide receivers and his elite core running back system, which obviously greatly improved with the addition of Odell Beckham from New York. Last year, OBJ pulled in 77 receptions for just over 1,000 yards with 6 touchdowns. This guy changes any team. You add him, it's just going to make you that much better. He's still young. If you're an NFL fan, you know what he can do. So, no need to talk about him. But, he's going to add another 1,000, 1,200 yards to Baker's production out there. But you still have Jarvis Landry, who had 81 receptions for 976 yards last year. 4 touchdowns, which I will believe will go up a little bit more. And then, don't forget about Callaway, who had 43 receptions for 586 yards. So they have 3 guys. They have 3 elite guys. They have 3 probably at the end of, the days, all going to be Pro Bowlers. And that's his arsenal to throw to throughout the year. Obviously, we know Nick Chubb and Duke Johnson are going to do a phenomenal job behind him, at least through the first 8 games. I do have a weird feeling that I'll talk about in later videos about Duke Johnson getting traded and him getting higher touches just to raise his trade stock. But once when Kareem Hunt comes back in there, it's so lethal. They have, 3-4 lethal weapons. They have a pretty good offensive line. Baker throws hard. He's a good quarterback. He's young. A lot of egos out there on the field with Kareem and Baker and OBJ, but man, if they can click and they can really bind together, I think this is going to be an incredibly powerful offense. Everyone talks about how on paper, this is one of the best teams in the NFL, which is true. On paper it is, but when you have such youth within an organization, I mean, last year, the average age of the Cleveland Browns was 25 and a half, which made them the second youngest team in the NFL. When it's all said and done in this offseason, I believe they were going to be the youngest team in the NFL. So a young team, a lot of egos, a lot of new personalities. It'll be fun to watch. It'll definitely be almost like a reality TV show out there. So tune into your Cleveland Browns, and then we'll see what happens. And regarding the defensive side of the ball, you're going to have the ex-Giant out there, Olivia Vernon, who's going to make a pretty immediate impact. Pro Bowler, phenomenal player. If his back end of his career holds up, maybe a potential Hall of Famer one day. But Olivia Vernon, a huge key addition to the Cleveland Browns. And then if we're going to talk draft stock, I'll go to Greedy Williams. I don't like Greedy in the sense that he doesn't like open field tackling, and he's a very selective tackler. But if you can live up to the hype and the predictions that these top tier analysts have on you, sometimes you don't have to be an all-out tackler. You can just be a phenomenal corner. So if he tackled more, I like it. If not, okay, only if he lives up to what he can do. But that's how I feel about their defense, and I think they're going to, like I said, I think they're going to jump 3 spots. They're probably going to be in my NFL power rankings defensively. I'd have to imagine somewhere around the 20th spot, so maybe a little bit past the midway point, but just because of their high-powered offense, they probably will sneak in the top 10. So it's a good thing. It's definitely going to be, I believe, a successful year for Cleveland. Like I said, 10-6 ±1 division champs over in the AFC North. Hopefully they can live up to it. Hopefully they can prove all their haters wrong, because they definitely deserve to get some wins under the belt. It's been definitely a while. With all that being said, we'll move on to the next team I have going second in the AFC North, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers going 8-8 with a plus or minus 1. They're really right there. They're really right in the middle. I can see them getting 9. I can see them maybe dropping a little bit below that, depending on the season. But last year for the AFC offensive rank, they were second out of 16, which is pretty well. And they were fourth defensively for defensive ranks. This upcoming year, I have them offensively ranked 5th in the AFC and 2nd in the AFC defense. So they improve on the defensive end and they drop a little bit on the offensive end. But there's a lot of stuff going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, the departure of Bell and Antonio Brown, which totally changes the face of that offense, but so much more. We'll start with, I guess, the leader, the captain, and the guy who's going to potentially maybe give him a chance to make the playoffs, because he kind of does it every year, which is Ben Roethlisberger. Big Ben last year surprisingly threw for over 5,000 yards. It was actually closer to 5,200 yards, and he had 34 touchdowns with 16 picks. But every year I just feel like he's so on and he's so productive that it just almost carries the Pittsburgh Steelers, no matter who they have. Since 2006, Ben Roethlisberger has thrown for at least 3,100 yards and 17 touchdowns, which might sound like an average year, but to put that in a good, in good, perspective, Marcus Mariota is going on his 5th year, and he's never done that in any of those years. So the fact that Ben has done it the last, 12, 13 years is pretty incredible, and that just kind of shows how much of a competitor he is and how valuable he is to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, so you lose Le'Veon Bell. You lose Antonio Brown. I get it. They're great players. But let's kind of break it down. James Conner did incredibly well. If you compare his season to the 2017 season for Le'Veon Bell, he did better. He was more successful as a running back. Taking out Antonio Brown, obviously you can't replace him, but we know how well Juju Smith-Schuster has been doing, and I truly believe that within a year or two, this guy's going to be a top 5 wide in the NFL. He's a positive dude. He works hard, and he's got the ability to be that great. So I think he'll take the AB role. And then with the addition of Dante Moncrief, who had 48 receptions last year for 668 yards and 3 touchdowns, will definitely give that boost production. Obviously, it's not replaceable for an AB or Juju, but as a second guy, he'll get probably 800 to 900 yards, maybe 5-6 touchdowns out of Big Ben, which will definitely support a little bit of a hole that they're going to need to fill just by losing a few guys. Now, in 2017, they ran for 3.8 yards a rush throughout the entire year, and that obviously was led by Le'Veon Bell. This last year, James Conner was the lead back for them, and they averaged 4 yards a carry. So that went up. Production as an offense also went up. They were 3rd in the NFL in 2017 in NFL production. Last year, they were 4th in the NFL in offensive production. But if you would have gave them their 2018 numbers and put them in 2017, they would have led the league. They were third in 2017 with 6,047 total yards, and last year they had 6,453 yards, which made them a significantly better offensive team last year, and that is without the addition of Le'Veon. Obviously, that'll drop a little bit with AB being gone, but I still believe they will get more than 6,047 yards, making their offense better than it was with Le'Veon Bell in the 2017 season. So, they're good guys and they're good players, and hopefully they do well with Oakland and with the Jets, but I wouldn't be too concerned as a Steelers fan because there will be a replacement. James Conner, I believe, is the truth, and Juju will definitely slide into that role. So that's pretty much a good glimpse of the offense. Other good things coming their way with them, but let's turn the script and go over to the defensive side of the ball. I have them going second in the AFC this year. Defensively, I'm probably going to have them in my top 5, top 6 in the NFL defensive power rankings, but it's led by their veteran leadership, and now with the new addition of Devin Bush, I think they're just going to be that much better. Devin Bush is an absolute animal, and he is an aggressor, and he has a good motor, like some of these good defensive draft picks this year. But he's really going to make an impact day one. It's just going to make him that much better. They're going to have a relatively good pass rush game. I think their secondary is pretty solid. They're tough there on the line. They just do a lot of right things. And then on top of all that, they're not necessarily going against super high-powered offenses all year long, which is going to make them kind of glow a little bit. I believe Bleacher Report and a couple others have them 1, 2, or 3 defensive ranked in this upcoming season. So a little bit too early. Let's see what happens in OTAs. Let's see what happens with everything up to the preseason, and we'll kind of reevaluate from there. But a lot of good signs, and they're going to be a tough team on that end of the ball, which is just going to make them that much better. And like I said, it could potentially push them to that 9-win season to clinch a playoff spot. So we're going to find out. But that's what I got for them on defense. No Bell, no problems. Watch out for Justin Lane, the cornerback out of Michigan State. He was a Big Ten top 10 corner in my opinion. Last year he registered 72 total tackles with an interception, so I think he's going to do some pretty good things for them. I think he's NFL ready, so that'll just help out there on the outside. The decrease in drama, like we talked about earlier with the departure of Le'Veon and Antonio, so that'll help, I believe, and kind of cool things down on the sidelines a little bit. But overall, 8-8. It's going to be a pretty well offensive ranked AFC team this year, pretty well defensively ranked AFC team this year, and maybe, just maybe, they might be able to sneak into a wild card spot. So they're second, the Browns were first, and now the third team, in my opinion, in the AFC is the Baltimore Ravens. As you can see, I have the Baltimore Ravens going 7-9 with a plus or minus 1. Last year they were ranked 5th in the AFC on an offensive scale. They're going to be 10th this year, in my opinion. And then they were first defensively last year in the AFC in the defensive categories, and I have them 10th. So a 9-spot drop defensively, a 5-spot drop offensively. The offense obviously will take a hit because of the departure of John Brown, who I believe is a number 1 wideout in the league. Not the number 1 wideout in the league, but a number 1 on some specific teams. In this case, he was the number 1 on the Ravens, but with his departure, it's going to hurt a little bit. But I just kind of feel like they're going to be just kind of neutral for the most part, but just kind of dropping those. And then because of a little bit more tough competition, because of some defensive guys they lost during the offseason, they're going to drop that much. And you really just never know with Baltimore on the defensive end, because there's specific teams like Seattle Seahawks and the Baltimore Ravens and, sometimes the Texans. And these teams just play different at different times of year. And we've all seen Baltimore just step up late in the year and just literally win games by themselves. So 10th might be a little overambitious in the AFC side. It might be higher, and I might be completely off on that. But I think for the most part, it's going to be around there the whole year. And just because the offense doesn't have the weapons, I don't think that I don't think that defense can do enough to hold them in it and
get enough wins to qualify for postseason. But when you go back to the offensive side of the ball, it's obviously led by their second-year pro, Lamar Jackson. Lamar didn't have any flashy numbers last year. He had 170 attempts for about 1,200 yards for 6 touchdowns and 3 picks. So very low serving sample. Obviously, that's nothing going to turn ahead, but he did rush for 75 yards a game for a total of 695 yards. So he was the number 1 rushing quarterback in the NFL last year, right above Josh Allen. But 75 yards a game rushing for Lamar Jackson is pretty incredible. If you actually put that in, compare it to running backs, you give him the running back symbol and throw him in the column, that would make him the 6th rushing yards per game runner in the whole NFL. And that's over guys like Kareem Hunt, Sony Michel, Christian McCaffrey, James Conner. So that really just shows how much he utilizes his legs, which unfortunately will, I'm assuming, be his demise somewhere along his career unless he becomes a way better pocket passer. But I like Lamar. I'm all in on Lamar, and I think he carries himself very well. And I wish him nothing but success. But there's just not enough. I don't know how to put it, marrow on that offense. There's just not enough, depth, and you can't succeed if you don't have the right talent around some specific guys. So 7-9 plus or minus 1. And regarding the draft picks that Baltimore did, or specifically just one draft pick in Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown had 75 receptions last year for 1,318 yards with 10 total touchdowns. He averaged 17.6 yards a catch, which is unreal, and actually more unreal is in 2017, his freshman year at Oklahoma, he averaged 19.2 yards a catch. So once when he gets the ball, he just really takes off, and he's elusive in the open field, kind of a Kareem Hunt-esque, Tariq Hill-esque sort of player, very elusive and kind of hard to get a hold of. But and the man's fast. I've been watching some film on him the last couple of days, and he can just really find the lanes and always kind of works that first down marker. And I think it's going to be a nice little piece for Lamar Jackson. Obviously, like I said, Lamar had 1,200 passing yards last year on a shortened season, so I have him more around that 3,000 yard point, and this is a big reason why. So hopefully Brown can stay healthy or be healthy. I know he's having some questionable issues right now with his lower body, so hopefully he's good to go by the start of the year, and he can really help out Lamar, and that could be probably the 1-2 fastest combo wide receiver quarterback combo in the league, which will be entertaining if you're a Ravens fan. That's me keeping it short and sweet. For the last time, 7-9 plus 1 minus 1. We'll see what they can do in the back end of the season. Stay tuned for my schedule week by week win-loss predictions. You're going to find it entertaining which wins I think I'm going to give them, and some might shock you. So third place finishers in the AFC North is your Baltimore Ravens, which moves us on to the last and least team in the AFC North, which is the Cincinnati Bengals. So last video, I had Miami being the worst team in their division, and in the AFC East, and now with the AFC North, I have the Cincinnati Bengals being the last in their division, and I gave the Miami Dolphins kind of a hard time and played with them, and I feel like I have to do that again for every fourth place finisher. So that's no different with the Bengals. I have them going 4-12, and as you see, there's no plus or minus 1 on that. It's just I think it's a locked in 4-12, and I was really confident about this one. So 4-12, not much leeway there. Last year, offensively in the AFC, they ranked 12th. I do have them moving up 3 spots to 9th this year, but that's still going to put them around 20th league average. With the defensive ranks last year in the AFC, they were dead last, and I'm being very, very nice in putting them up 1 spot. So, a substantial jump to 1 spot up defensively and 3 offensively to make them the 4-12 Bengals they really are. Regarding some notables real quick, white flag defense is right there at the bottom of my final bullet point. And what that means is, well, actually, let's reference the Webster's Dictionary for white flag. So a white flag is a cloth used to symbolize surrender, truth, or a desire to parlay. So that's going to describe their defense this year. They're going to throw up the white flag because they're going to be that bad. Bold prediction. Not really that bold, though. That bad of a defense. But the good news is they still have some kind of offensive hope, starting with their number one back and probably a top 10 back this year in Joe Mixon. In 13 games, Joe Mixon racked up 1,168 yards for 8 touchdowns. He also received for 296 yards for, I think, 1 touchdown. So pretty good offensive year last year, just in 13 games. So I think those numbers would have been more around 1,400 rushing yards if he contended in all 16 games, and maybe closer to 400 receiving yards with a few more touchdowns. So definitely a top 5 guy if the numbers would have kept going up like that. And you also have a good security blanket in Giovanni Bernard, who really only started 4 games, but he did run for 211 rushing for 3 touchdowns, and he also received 218 through the air. So when you have a guy like that backing you up, you don't necessarily need to take 85% of the snaps. You can take 75% of the snaps, still be productive, because you have a guy like Gio behind you to kind of lighten the load a little bit. So 2 reliable guys, and it's a pretty decent run game in actuality and on paper. Furthermore, with drafting Jonah Williams out of Alabama, that's just going to give the Red Rifle some more time in the pocket. It's definitely an upgrade there on the O-line. It's kind of hard to get, super exciting tape or the flashy stats on a guy like Jonah Williams, but I'll tell you what, this is a top 15 for sure draft pick, hands down. So probably the best O-lineman in the draft. But it's a great pickup for Cincinnati. That's just going to help them more offensively. That's definitely not where they needed the help. But Jonah's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So it's not always the most exciting thing, I guess, overall when your first the draft pick your team has in the first round, it goes to an O-lineman. But it's important to strengthen that part of the team and to kind of work from the ball out. And with Jonah, you certainly get that, but that's why he's a little bit part of the reason why I have their offensive rank in the AFC go up 3 spots, because it's just going to give Andy some more time to throw the ball. Like I said, if Mixon can stay healthy the whole year, then that running production is going to go up with him and Gio. And then if AJ Green's ankle, foot, got anything that he has going on the last couple of years can stay healthy, him and Boyd and Tyler Eifert, they have a lot of options, they have a lot of weapons, and they're not going to be terrible to watch when it comes to the offense. They're just going to need to score 65 points a game to win because of that treacherous defense we just talked about. So I even had the liberty to throw the numbers up there for you. As you can see, 32nd overall, and yes, the NFL is out of 32 teams. I have them last with, that year they gave up, or last year they gave up 6,618 yards, but roughly the same. I still believe they're going to be last. KC did improve a little bit on the defensive end. Cleveland did as well. Miami probably will drop, but I think since he's still the worst or the second to worst, or I don't know, like a bunch of yards they're going to give up. So as you can see, a couple of the fans aren't so happy about it, but it is what it is, and it definitely gives you something to work on in future years. And who knows? It's the NFL on any given Sunday, and they could step up and perform. And AFC North is weird with divisional games for some odd reason, so they might not go 1-5 in their division. They might go 4-2. You just never know, because those teams are they play each other different, and that's why the Pittsburgh-Baltimore games, the Cincy-Brown games are just more fun, and they seem to be more intense because there's some kind of interdivisional strength between these 4 teams. So who knows? But that's my prediction. Again, I have them last in the AFC North this year at 4-12, a solid 4-12. Hop a little bit in the offensive ranks, which will be fun to watch, and that's something that you should look forward to if you're a Cincy fan. And then again, it says 15th. I have them 15th this year. Could be 16th. They were 16th last year, but I think they're probably going to fight it out with Miami. So that's what I have. Those are your notables. That's your AFC North. That's also your AFC North predictions. So hope you liked it. Hope you liked the first video. If you did, please subscribe, like it, comment. If you do comment, I'll answer. And like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to try to make these better each time. and more enjoyable to watch, and just give you my calculated raw facts of how the season's going to kind of turn out to be. So, in this particular instance, sorry Cincy fans, but there's always next time. So, thank you for watching, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get another video out to you guys by tomorrow night. Hopefully 2 by tomorrow night, but if I can't get both out, then I'll have the AFC totally complete by Monday evening. So stay tuned if I haven't hit your division yet. And then immediately I'm going to start on the NFC North. So stand by, subscribe, you get the notifications, and check them out and tell me what you think. With all that being said, I'm Joe with the Neutral Zone Report, and until next time, so long, guys.